So, to my city, man, it ain't worth it, boy. Like, it ain't worth it. Like, me being a rapper from my city and Foolio being a rapper from our city, it ain't worth it. Like, my mouth getting dry, sorry. Like, the dissing, the beefing, the shooting, like, for what? Like, for what? Like, when you sitting in your cell alone, cold, it's lonely as hell in that bit. Everybody leave you. Like, nobody here for you. Like, the ones that's your ride or die, your girlfriends, whoever you love, the only person there for you is your mother. And maybe, like, one friend, maybe. But it ain't worth it, though, bro. It ain't worth it. I was 21 years old facing the death penalty. I never ever, my only interactions with law enforcement was traffic tickets. Wake up next morning, I'm facing the death penalty. That's how quick life can change. It ain't worth it, bro. That's all. And sorry if I was nervous. Sorry.
No, it's okay, Mr. Chance. And thank you for saying that.
Yes, ma'am.
And we know you for sliding on Foolio. But let's listen to what Sean Christ Gathright has to say, because this shit was beyond pathetic.
For allowing me the opportunity. I prepared just a little something. I worked pretty thoughtfully on it, so I just ask that you allow your discretion for me to.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Thank you.
As long as it's respectful.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Here we are, being sentenced for the murder of Charles Jones on the day he was killed 2 years later. Now, some may say this is just a coincidence, but I believe that nothing has been, is, or ever will be left up to chance, and that everything in this world is predestined. And there are many biblical promises of that belief holding true. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Jeremiah 29:11 says, "I know the plans I have for you, plans for good and not for disaster." And Romans 8:28 says, "We know all things work together for good to those who love God and are called to his purpose." And there are many more just like them. God has full sovereignty over our lives. He chooses our times of peace and prosperity, our times of joy and laughter, but he also chooses our traumas and our tribulations, not to punish and tear us apart, but to strengthen our character and our faith. Everyone wonders how and why I ended up in a situation like this, despite growing up with a loving family, nice home, multiple opportunities, and promising potential. Some act as if is it impossible or unheard of for someone like me to find themselves in a situation like this. But in reality, it is much more common than we think, and has been happening long before today. There is a parable Jesus shared with the world called the prodigal son, a son who had the nice home, loving family, servants. He had his every need catered to. Yet he still chose to take his inheritance and venture off to a far country where he indulged in prodigal living. He soon ran out of money, and a famine had struck the land he was in. And while that would have been enough signs for most to turn back, his eyes still hadn't opened, and he still hadn't come to his senses. Hungry and desperate, he found a job on a farm feeding pigs. And during these times, pigs and what they were fed were deemed as the filthiest, most impure, lowest of the low, and worst of the worst. But he was so hungry and so blind that the food he fed the pigs looked appetizing. That's when he finally came to his senses. He realized that even the servants back home had enough food to spare, yet here he is dying of hunger amongst pigs. After this eye-opening experience, he decided to return home. He was ashamed and planned to go to his father to ask for forgiveness and to become one of his servants because he no longer felt worthy to be called his son. But when he returned, his father embraced him with love and compassion, dressed him in the finest clothes and jewels, and celebrated his son's return with a feast, exclaiming, "This son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and is now found." It is not uncommon for good young men who come from good families to get lost in this world. But discontentment often leads these good young men astray. When scholars and historians look back on our times, I believe they will label us as the age of discontentment. And those of us who come from privileged upbringings are actually disadvantaged to the fight against it. Because of the high expectations, any opportunities and options we grow up with, We don't know what struggle looks like, or how hard our parents had to work to provide these opportunities for us. We don't know what we have until it's gone, and it often happens after we go through our own eye-opening experience. Never in history has there been a time like now, where there is so much available and so easy to consume, but we still demand more, and it is clearly seen in my generation. Young men and women want to grow up faster, to try to keep up with the influencers that are idolized, and this is in part due to us being so susceptible. A study done by the National Institute of Mental Health provided evidence showing that the brain doesn't reach full maturity until 26 to 27 years old for men, about 8 or 9 years older than my time during the offense. But society knows this, and that's why laws set age requirements on certain activities, amenities, and substances as a way to protect adolescent adults. Yet those same laws don't extend to an adolescent adult when they are charged with crimes and allows them to be prosecuted to the fullest extent, regardless of their age. Your Honor, it is heartbreaking that an 18-year-old can't rent a car or a hotel or buy a home, but can be sentenced to death or life in prison without the possibility of parole. They can't purchase alcohol or tobacco, but can be sentenced to death or life in prison without the possibility of parole. They can't work certain jobs or even go on a cruise without a chaperone, but can be sentenced to death without life, or life without prison, in prison without possibility of parole. And I'm a prime example of these circumstances. At 18 years old, with no prior convictions, I was charged, indicted, and had to face the death penalty. My point is, society views anyone under the age of 21 as not being mentally mature enough to participate or partake in these activities, amenities, and substances, because certain substances listed can negatively impact or stunt the growth of a developing brain, while other activities and amenities have restrictions due to the lack of impulse and behavioral control or lack of situational awareness at times with teens. It is very simple to understand that our brains have not developed enough, that we live in a society where someone under the age of 21 can be sentenced to death or life in prison without parole. We leave no room for growth, rehabilitation, or redemption. We don't account for the fact that they weren't a fully developed adult and their judgment and decision-making abilities weren't developed either. I believe it is cruel for someone under the age of 21 to be sentenced to life without parole or death before they're even old enough to be fully emancipated or to fully comprehend what consequences their actions carry.
Let me stop it right there. You know the best thing he could have did was come out and apologize. Atonement. That's what your religion preaches. The majority of religions preach atonement, responsibility. He's not doing any of that. You're making excuses for your bad decision? Let me run through the damn ages real quick. Isaiah Chance was 21, now he's 23. Alicia Andrews was 21, now 23. Sean Christ Gathright was 18, now he's 20. Rashad Murphy, he was 30, now he's 32. Davion Murphy was 27, now he's 29. He talks about, oh, you're not able to drink and smoke at 21. It used to be 18 to do all of that shit. You don't talk about conception of children, do you? Let's get on with the rest of this bullshit. Roll it!
I say all this because I want to see change. Change for those whose fates were sealed long before they were born. Change for the prodigal sons and daughters who ventured off too far in the world and got lost. Change for those who haven't reached full maturity or unlocked their full potential as adults. Change for the ones who never had the option to go around, over, or underneath, but straight through their obstacles. In spite of my current circumstances, I still trust in all those biblical promises. I believe that I am exactly where God planned for me to be, a plan He created long before I was born. It is also my belief that this chapter of my life will propel me to a much greater purpose than what we see here today, because my journey has just begun.
What a deplorable, detestable young piece of shit. I'm not sorry. You know what he could have did better? He could have just flat out just said, Judge, I only care about trying to get out of this and making myself seem. You can't do that, Nash. Don't lie to the people. Okay. How would you have perfected it, Nash? 1, an apology for the life taken by his actions to the mother. Because regardless of what Foolio said, we don't know him for doing shit. There's no documents that we know of that he killed something. But the one person that I actually like in here, his ass spoke. And sounded like a Jolly Green Giant. He was looking like Obafemi Jr. or something like that. Right.
Yeah, it look different from up here. To God be the glory all the time, and He'll forever have the last say so in our situation. As I said in my interrogation interview, I'll be judged for it, and I'll forever retain my innocence. And I just want to say to the Gen Z generation, change your life and do something productive with your life. Because in this predicament, it ain't worth it. And like it was said before, this is not my first rodeo down this road, so it's looking like forever, but I'll forever keep a positive mind state and a positive mindset. But to God be the glory forever. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy.
You know who really threw me the hell off was the judge when she basically started gangbanging herself. And I couldn't tell if she was ATK or KTA because she basically said Foolio deserved this shit.
And I just can't believe that any community, if they're made aware of it, will stand by and put up with that. I mean, it's just tragic. And, you know, Mr. Jones did not deserve to die for what he did or what he drilled, the drill rap videos he made. But goodness gracious, going and desecrating the gravesite of a murdered relative is, you don't deserve to be killed for that, but you just increased your odds that it was going to happen. And that's the truth. That is the truth. So I'm not at all, again, stating that he deserved it, but it's just shocking. It's shocking to me. And I do have great sympathy for the defendants. You all, for the most part, are young men. And some of you have children. And now, for what? For what? Now, you're looking at life in prison. And what was it for? And I really appreciate Mr. Gathright and Mr. Chance really speaking to your community. Like, these decisions that are made can have unalterable changes that you can't come back from.
And it all culminates to this. And Lordy, Lord. If you didn't think that these cats was fried before.
Mr. Chance, I'm going to start first. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty. Count 1, sentence you to mandatory life without the possibility of parole. Count 2, I will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life to run concurrent with count 1. Mr. Gathright. On count 1, I will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life without the possibility of parole. You also have a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence. On count 2, the conspiracy, I will sentence you to 30 years in prison to run concurrent. Count 3, attempted murder in the second degree, I will sentence you to 30 years Florida State Prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence, again to run concurrent with all other counts. On count 4, attempted murder in the second degree, adjudicate you guilty and sentence you to 30 years prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence, again to run concurrent with all other counts. Count 5, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 30 years Florida State Prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence, again to run concurrent with all other counts. And on count 6, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 5 years Florida State Prison, again to run concurrent. And again, for you and Mr. Chance, give me credit for all time served. As to Davion Murphy, Mr. Davion Murphy, I will adjudicate you guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and you will have a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence as part of the life sentence. Count 2 on the conspiracy, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life to run concurrent. On the attempted murders, counts 3, 4, and 5, I will adjudicate you guilty of each of those, sentence you to life in prison with a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence on each, again to run concurrent with all of the other counts, and again giving you credit for all time served. And finally, Mr. Rashad Murphy, I will adjudicate you guilty of murder in the first degree, sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and you will also receive a 20-year minimum mandatory sentence. On count 2, conspiracy, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to life in prison to run concurrent with count 1. On counts 3, 4, and 5, I will adjudicate you guilty on each of those, sentence you to life in prison. Each of those carries a 20-year minimum mandatory, again, to run concurrent with all other counts, and giving you credit for all time served. All right.
Now, let's get to the nitty gritty if you made it this far. Boo fucking who? So what? This was premeditated. Y'all drove for hours. Y'all knew what the hell you were doing. Sean Christ Gathright, you cleaned the damn car. You used your own people's shit and damn near could have got your people smoked. See, the interesting thing is they all knew this shit was wrong. They all knew what they were doing. Sean Gathright is accused of 2 shootings before he actually eventually got to Foolio, and 1 shooting being the one that blew a hole in Foolio's foot. So I don't want to hear. That's not what I don't want to hear. I'm not willing to accept the bullshit. You knew what you were doing. You knew what it was wrong. You talk about this Christian faith, but you forget the commandment that says, thou shalt not kill. You were taught that when you started to go into church as a youngin' and all your missionary stuff and all that. So when did you forget the 10 commandments? I'm just curious. Because you didn't. You're only trying to manipulate the system. You're acting like you didn't do shit when you 100% did. You're guilty. You wanted to be a thug. Nigga, step up and be a thug, homie. I don't feel bad for these goddamn dumbasses. Why would I? The way that they shot that damn car up, bro, they could have clipped anybody. What about the innocent bystander? What about the people they traumatized? Do they not deserve any type of justice? You took a life. That 1 life just took 4 lives. Hell of a trade, huh? Everybody who's saying the youth should watch this and all this bullshit as though we don't have Scared Straight, as though we don't have programs for the juvenile hall, youth groups and all this shit that we've been having since the 90s to come in and talk to people. You want to know how you actually fix all of this shit? Y'all want to know? The easiest way is to point at the men. It is what it is. The easiest way is to take accountability as they are supposed to. I can tell you right now, without ever speaking to the mama, without ever speaking to the damn sister, Sean Gathright sounds like an entitled little bitch. It just is what it is. Davion Murphy, I fuck with Davion Murphy. He stood on what he did. He willing to accept his fate. Fuck him too. But I respect what he did. It is what it is. They all screwed themselves over. The only person who could even remotely have a damn chance to say, well, shit, just give me 30 years, 40 years. He should have been allowed to snitch. If I was all of them, I would have been like, if we all get caught, Isaiah Chance, you the only one who can snitch. We all done shot this shit up. We done put bullets in Foolio. Isaiah, you can tell, you can get up out of here, bro. You got a newborn baby, all of this stuff and everything. And in a couple of years, it's unfortunate because Alicia Andrews going to be with Seti Nash, you know what I'm saying? But no, on a serious note, man, for real, this is what y'all get. Play games, win prizes, at times stupid prizes. They knew what they were doing. They have friends that have been to jail for murder, all of this shit. See, the true power that nobody tells anybody anymore is your ability not to. There are a bevy of people who could have killed somebody for killing somebody that they love, that they appreciate, that they consider family, or that they are family. There's a freaking Instagram account from somebody who was thinking about doing some shit. And if he ever wants to come out and tell the story, he can. I'll promote it, you know what I'm saying? But when I first started the channel, there was a guy whose brother was killed. brains blowed out. He left a nephew. He left a son and a daughter. And the guy hit me up and he was like, man, Nash, I'm losing my mind, bro. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, here's what the fuck you going to do. You're going to do nothing. Because the best part about being in the hood is the police love catching killers. They love catching these stupid fucks. Because they get to get a pin badge and extra vacation time and all of these things for that nice-ass retirement package that they got and all this shit and everything. Yeah. I said, bro, I guarantee you, the person who killed your brother, if it went down how you said it went down, they're going to go to jail for the rest of their life, and they'll be caught in less than 2 months. Motherfucker was caught in 2 weeks. And you know what he told me? He said, man, I appreciate you telling me not to do shit. True power is when you realize what you do to change your circumstance is everything. That's what it is. It's not doing shit, even though you want to. It takes a fucking man to get up 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3 to go do a fucking job to take care of some shit. So happy belated Father's Day. They got what the fuck they deserve. Ain't no bitching, no goddamn crying. Chest up, chin out, fuck nigga. Whoop-de-doo.